All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Dakoba, and welcome back to Lightyear Frontier. We are here at the beginning of day 3, and we are going to finish upgrading our mech so that we can take a look at some bigger jobs. We built a small shed here to hold our first sort of crafting equipment, but we are going to need a proper house for us to live in. We're going to need to expand this because we're going to need to build more machines soon. But in order to do all of that, we are going to have a much easier time of it if we can upgrade our mech. So that is our goal today, is to come in here, finish crafting up some of these parts and some of these upgrades to our mech so that we have some more versatility with how we move about things. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to set some missions for us. We're going to want to craft up a resource vacuum. So we'll go ahead and put that on tracker. We're also going to want to craft up some upgrades for our inventory capacity and our sprint speed, as well as our spike saw. And if we can go ahead and get all of those things built, then we should be in a pretty good place. It looks like the first thing we're going to need to do is gather up some copper ore. We'll also need to find some nickel ore and craft up some more polyberry oil. So let's go ahead and get that polyberry oil crafting while we head over here and gather up some copper. And then once we have all these materials gathered up, we'll get to crafting and take a look at what our mech looks like. I'm going to go ahead and jump through this resource gathering process until we are ready to start building. All right, I've been gathering some resources, and one of the things that we are missing is nickel ore. Nickel ore is found along water, usually on the southern half of the outset plains. So really, as anywhere along sort of the outer border of the outset plains. There's also a little bit that goes along this river to the east of the starting area. So I happen to notice that we have some nickel nodes and clusters just to the south of our current base, over here near the boundary into the Hexagon plains. We have a large nickel cluster right here, which will be great. Looks like we might even have 2 of those, and that's going to give us all that we need for the time being. And since these will regrow within a couple days, we should have no trouble staying on top of that. All right, I think we have all the materials we're going to need, so let's pop back into our mech depot and take a look at how we can upgrade some of these tools. We're going to go ahead and make up our resource vacuum. That's the most important one. We're also going to want a sprout cannon, so let's go ahead and get that crafted as well. And then going into mods, we want a sweeping strike for our spike saw. That's going to allow us to do a sort of area gathering. And then we're going to want multiple of these sprint speed and inventory capacity upgrades. Now, if we take a look at those, one of the things you can see is here in this compatibility section, we can see that the sprint speed can go on our the leg parts of our tractor, whereas the inventory capacity can go on the arms, legs, and engine. If we go over to our customization, we can actually take a look at our mech and see that we have 2 legs, 2 arms, and 1 engine. So if we wanted, we could craft 5 of these inventory upgrades and equip them all here, and that would work just fine. But for now, I think we're going to go with 3 of these inventory capacities for our arms and engine. And then we will also put the 2 sprint speed ones into our legs. So we'll go ahead and craft those up. It looks like we're a little short on copper wire, so we'll only use 1 of those for now. But let's go ahead and equip our other tools, and then come in here and press X while selecting the tool or the item we want to equip to adjust the modification. Now, whenever you modify your mech, you use up some of your power capacity, and that's something we need to watch, although we're not going to run out just now. If we take a look, we're using 10 of our 14 power limit. Now, power limit sort of limits how much you can do with your mech. So for example, one of the things we want to craft is this field plow. That's going to take 5 power. That's got a power cost of 5, which means we can't equip that right now with our current mech specs. We'll need to increase our maximum power limit. And there's a few ways we can do that, but the main one that we're going to be looking at right now is through sending off our milestone shipments. If we head over to our resource cannon, then we'll see that each milestone shipment comes with a power cost sort of increase that it will grant us. Looks like we never opened up after getting our last milestone finished, so we can take a look at that. But if we take if we go into one of these shipments, we can see that, for example, if we were to send off 10 chromes, we would get 1 power increase there, or we would increase our power limit by 1. Whereas if we were to send off this one that uses an undiscovered crop, we would get 2. That's actually mutated wheat. So that's something we'll need to look into spending soon. But as it is right now, our inventory has increased from 100 to 175, which is going to make it a lot easier to gather resources from a little bit further away. It's also going to give us a little bit more. And we also have a 10% bonus while sprinting, which you hold down shift while moving in order to sprint, and that increases the speed at which you travel. Now, 10% is not very much, but very soon we'll be able to see that rapidly increase, because we'll be able to get some additional upgrades and additional upgrade slots. So instead of having just 2 upgrade slots, we'll have 4, and then we'll be able to get higher levels of that upgrade to do more than 10%, 15 or 20%. So 4 20% speed boosts instead of 1 10% speed boost, for example. The next thing I want to do is build a proper house for us, and this is going to serve a couple of important purposes. Number one, it's going to make the place a lot nicer to be around. We're going to be spending a lot of time here. We want to have someplace nice to call home, and we're going to want to decorate it so that it looks good as well. Now, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that there is a third icon next to our inventory and the time of day. That icon indicates the coziness level of our farm, which we can increase by building structures around our farm. So for example, if we place one of these light sources here, you'll see that that meter fills up. When it fills up, it'll increase the coziness level of our settlement, which is going to give us some additional benefits. When we sleep in a bed at night, so we'll have to build a bed that's under our roof, and that'll allow us to sleep in it. And when we go to sleep in it, you can see we have this list of effects here. Each of these corresponds to a coziness level. So when we reach level 1, then we'll enable Keen Eye, which means that each time we gather resources in the world, we'll have a 10 to 15% chance of getting a bonus resource there. So when we break a piece of wood, instead of it giving us 4 wood, then we'll have that bonus chance of getting 5 wood instead. Once we reach coziness level 2, we'll get some bonus when we're working with animals. Level 3 will increase our damage, and level 4 will increase our yield from farming. So these are things we're going to want to work towards. All right, now that we've identified what our main goal is in terms of building up this coziness level and establishing a proper house, I'm going to spend a couple days doing some resource gathering, making sure we have plenty of materials in order to do this. Then we'll stop before it's time to actually build our house. It's like a little bit of refill-lite respawn right there. Now, as I do this, I'm also going to be expanding our crop fields a bit and continuing to care for them, to water them, replant seeds, and process seeds in our seed makers. I may build some additional seed makers as well, just to keep things going. But we're going to move through the gathering process. Like I said, I expect it to take a few days before we're all equipped to build the sort of house we want to build. So let's get into it. All right, now a quick aside. I've been gathering up some resources, but I got distracted and did a little bit of exploring, and I found my way to the south into Hexagon Valley. So from our farm, I just had traveled down this path through here to where the text for Hexagon Valley says. This has put me right at the base of this sort of giant dragon skull, dinosaur skull, whatever it is. But what I have found here is our final crop. This is the last one, to my knowledge, that is in the game at this time. Hopefully we'll find some more later, but we were able to find Zapper Twig, and I believe there may be some more over here along the shores of this pond as well. So we'll grab a little bit more here, but I did want to highlight that we were able to find that crop and pick it up. It's one of the reasons I like this location for the starting farm, is that you can get almost all of the crops basically on your way here, and then once you get here, you get the last one really easily as well. All right, I've gathered up all of the Zapper Twig in the area. It's given me 24, which is enough to send off that first milestone, as well as to propagate some into seed, or as well as to turn some into seeds for propagation. And now it is time for us to head home. And I want to show you guys a trick. Now that we have a farm built, if we need to get home in a hurry, once per day, we can teleport to this. This will reset each morning at dawn, but it gives us an easy way to get home very, very quickly. All right, back to gathering. All right, it is the beginning of day 5, and I have been growing some crops over here. I expanded our fields a little bit, and I also tilled some new fields, although I haven't planted anything in them yet, but I have been hard at work gathering up loads of resources over here. We got tons of wood, we've got tons of stone, we've got a fair bit of copper, we've got a little bit of hardwood, we've got a little bit of nickel ore. And today we're going to finally set about our main task for today's episode, which is going to be building our house. And I think I'm going to be building the house down here on this sort of flattened area, a little bit closer to the lake over here, because I quite like the way this lake looks with the trees and the cliffs behind it. And so I think that this is the corner of the area. And so I think this is the part of the farm where we're going to be building our house, and then we'll save the rest of it for our fields. Now, before I build the house, I do want to interact with the farm center and expand our territory a little bit if we have the resources to do so. It looks like we need 3 more polyberry oil and some more copper ore. So I'm going to go ahead and set those cooking while we get started building. And pop on over here and start making up the polyberry oil we'll need, and then also the copper wire. 10 copper wire. We'll just make a bunch. Now, other than that, I'm going to go ahead and relocate my resource delivery cannon just to get it out of the way, because I'm going to want a nice flat area to work with here. And then we're going to focus on building a house that is, pleasing to the eye to look at. It looks nice, also has a interesting shape, and is big enough for everything we're going to need in it. So I think what we're going to do is start out by laying down some foundations here, and we're going to go ahead and align these with the corner of the farm area as best we can. So probably something like that. Now I think we're going to start with a 3 wide house and just sort of build out a foundation. Let's do a 3x6 to start. And then to make things a little bit more interesting shape, let's go ahead and make this 3x8 on the long side, and then we'll do a little bit of a curve over here. We'll do an extra 3 right there. So a little bit of an L, but with a longer side and a shorter side. I think that will be a nice shape house for us to start with. And then we can go ahead and start putting up some of these walls. Let's go ahead and decide where we want our door to be. I think that's probably a good place for it. And then we can actually go ahead and build a little bit of a porch there in front of the door. And come in here to our beams and set up a rail post for our porch. Like so, and maybe one more right there. And then we can put down some stairs. Nice, this is going to be not lining these up very nicely. There we go. Now later on we'll get some proper railings, but I think that'll be a nice porch for us to start with. All right, let's go ahead and lay back down our walls here. And right now we can go ahead and fill this in with all solid walls and then change this up a little bit later. Something like that. And despite having gathered hundreds of materials, there's a decent chance that it's not going to be enough. That's okay. All right, we've got a basic structure for our house all built and situated here, and I'm pretty pleased with how it's coming together. This is something we're going to want to refine as we go on, but I went ahead and made it 2 stories, so we've got a little bit of an interesting layout on the inside. I put up some of the horizontal beams to sort of separate and break up the large flat spaces. And I went ahead and put in windows, even though we don't have anything to fill them with. The only thing we can really reasonably fill them with at this point are these beam crosses. And those don't look the worst, but they aren't my favorite either. They're, sort of okay, especially if you put these vertical beams all the way around them and horizontal beams. If you can get it centered. But even still, it's just not quite, it's a little janky. Doesn't quite fit the space well, so I think we'll leave those and we'll go ahead and replace them with windows, or fill them with windows when we are properly able to. In the meantime, though, I do have a couple of different entrances. I guess we can go ahead and put a door there into the house, and on the inside we have our sort of split level house over here on the right, with a large, more open area on the left. It's sort of going to be the, great hall, dining hall, whatever. And over here we'll have some other space. I think down here we'll have our bedroom, and upstairs we will have some storage or library or whatever we decide to put there, possibly some machines for now. But overall, I think this is good. I also put together just a little bit of a garden out here. And one of the things I noticed while I was doing that is putting up these fences does increase the coziness. So we'll want to make sure we're using fences where it makes sense to around the house. But right now I want to decorate enough that we get to the next level of coziness. And the best way to do that is to simply decorate the place. So we're going to go ahead and grab some of these torches and place them around here, just on the outside of these fences. Now, when you're going for maximum coziness level, there are a couple of things you can do to make it a little bit easier on yourself. The main thing is going to be to make sure you are putting lots of unique items out. Because each item gets a huge bonus if it's the first one of its type that you do. So here, these torches, for example. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and just put these up on top of these posts. Do our best to more or less center them. That'll keep our porch lit up nicely. There we go. And we'll put in some proper railings once we get them unlocked. But for now, that'll keep the porch lit nicely. And then inside we have a floor lamp we can put down that uses some copper wire as well as some wood, and will light the space near our bed very nicely. Now, each item, the first time you put it down in your farm area, it's going to give you a huge boost to your coziness. So for example, we can build one of these campfires out here over near our farm center, near our tent, and we will see that gives us a pretty substantial boost to our coziness. Almost looks like about 1/12 of it. If we build a second one, however, we do get a little bit of a bonus there, but not nearly as much, and the more we place, the less it seems to give us. So it is possible to spam these down and around in order to fill up that coziness meter, but we're going to get a lot more bang for our buck by mixing and matching what we put in. So for example, we could put a little birdhouse in right next to our house, maybe over here under the deck, a place for someone to move in, and that will give us a nice little bonus to our coziness. We could also place a stack of tires here, for example, would further give us a bonus. And so each of these items that we place is going to give us a boost to our coziness level. And the challenge is, of course, just making it all look nice while you do it. Now, if you're just trying to maximize coziness, one of the things that I have found best are these posters. They can be placed on any wall. They're relatively flat and sort of sit out of the way. And if you click rapidly, you can actually place more than one of them in a spot. Well, I got 3 of them in that spot, and plant fiber is just such a common thing that we can go ahead and just, place tons and tons of these posters and get a huge amount of coziness out of that very, very cheaply and very, very easily. We want to make sure we don't tear down our wall by mistake, though. There we go. I'm not just here to cheese the meter, although I'm certainly not above it. I do want to also have the place actually look nice. So we're going to go ahead and decorate some things out here. I may get rid of these tires because I don't care for those. But we'll be able to, for example, put a scarecrow in the middle of our fields, and that would be a great way to boost the coziness of our farm and sort of be lore appropriate as well. And as we go through the game, we'll unlock a great deal more buildables and items that we can work with and use. And so it's not going to be all that long before we are easily able to, just using sensible items, reach that level 4 coziness. But in the meantime, we can just sort of place whatever items we find that make sense, that look okay, and just sort of fill in around the area, and we'll reach those increase in coziness levels pretty easily. Again, though, if you're just trying to get there, it's what I've had the absolute best luck with is this nature poster. Just find someplace small out of the way and just go nuts placing them. And it does use hundreds and hundreds of the plant fibers to do it, but look at that, we got coziness level 2 right there. Plant fibers are so common, so cheap, that you will get them by the hundreds just through the natural course of play very easily. And there you go. So just like that, we're at coziness level 2.5. And our farm is looking good. It is improving. It's starting to produce a large yield of crops, which we're ready to harvest and then send off some more shipments. But I think we'll save that for next time. I think this is where we will end this episode. In addition to building the house, I have also done a little bit of work with our fields. I went ahead and set up a loadout on my mech that uses the farm tractor, so I'm able to plow the fields much more quickly, much more easily. And so we have all of these crops ready to go, and I have also tilled out 6 fields up here that we will be able to use to plant large numbers of further crops, and we'll expand this further. The last thing we're going to do today is expand our farm area by coming to our farm center and clicking upgrade. This will increase the radius of our barrier. So previously the barrier sort of ran right between these 2 fields, and now it is a bit further out. And we'll be able to get 3 or 4 more farm upgrades, so we'll end up covering quite a large area. But even as it is, we have plenty of room. So we've got all this space back here now that we can do additional farm fields, we can do additional structures. And so it may make sense for us to have, to extend this out to be a much larger tool shed, and possibly even having a second one next to it. And then over here behind our house, having a storage shed, for example. So there's lots of things that we can do with the building system in this game. But for now, I think this is where we're going to leave it for today. I'd like to thank you guys for spending a few minutes with me here in the world of Lightyear Frontier. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Leave a like if you haven't, subscribe if you'd like to see more. My name is Dakoba, and I hope you have an epic day. I will see you soon.